Hi, welcome everyone to this Settle In live session. My name is Jenny and I work with CORE. We'll be covering how to work with a resettlement agency today. Please remember when commenting during this live session not to share any personal or confidential information as we are public facing. Our last session covered the Afghan Placement and Assistance, or APA program, and the services offered, including airport pickup, housing, food, clothing, healthcare, children's school enrollment, cultural orientation, and other government assistance enrollment. Your resettlement agency will work with you to provide these services. Today we're going to cover resettlement agencies, current delays in services, and housing provided. So let's start with a simple question. Who are the resettlement agencies? Resettlement agencies, or RAs, are non-governmental organizations that provide initial resettlement services to many newcomers to the U.S., including Afghan parolees. There are 9 different resettlement agencies with over 350 offices in the U.S. that receive funding from the government to provide services. The agencies include Church World Service, Episcopal Migration Ministries, Ethiopian Community Development Council, HIAS, International Rescue Committee, Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, U.S. Committee for Refugee and Immigrants, United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, Migration and Refugee Services, and World Relief. They work with many other organizations in their communities to connect you with the right services. The resettlement agency is a trusted partner in your resettlement process. They will offer direct services or refer you to another agency for those services. Both parties must work together. So please do keep in mind, a resettlement agency is a trusted partner. Some of you have been asking about the delays in the resettlement process, including departing the safe havens, moving out of temporary housing, or in receiving services from a resettlement agency. You may notice that others are leaving safe havens faster than you are, and it is important to understand that individuals may travel at different times for a variety of reasons. There are several factors that contribute to the time you need to wait before you can travel. For example, high demand locations such as Sacramento, Northern Virginia, and many cities in Texas, there is a shortage of affordable housing. So the resettlement agency may need to confirm with the U.S. tie you provided that they are able to provide housing for you and your family for a long period of time, as these resettlement agencies may not have available housing for you in those locations specifically. In the locations such as Sacramento and Northern Virginia, many Afghans may have to wait weeks or months before they can receive resettlement services, as the resettlement agency will likely need to prioritize those who have arrived via IOM arranged travel. Many Afghans who move there independently may unfortunately be unable to receive services at all. Please do know the resettlement agencies are working around the clock every day of the week to resettle the largest number of refugees in 50 years in a very short period of time. However, there is also a staffing shortage at many of the refugee resettlement agencies, many of the local hospitals, and many of the community organizations that support resettlement. This can also contribute to delays. So, how can you work with a resettlement agency? There are responsibilities working in partnership with a resettlement agency or any organization in the U.S. Part of this is respecting one another. working in partnership, and maintaining a professional working relationship. Another way to partner with a resettlement agency is to be patient and understanding. You now know some of the reasons for the delays in service, so you will also recognize that the resettlement agency cannot control some of these challenges. Patience will help grow your partnership with the resettlement agency. Please also keep in mind that resettlement agencies provide services based on a work plan and the priority of services offered. All of the support services cannot happen at the same time. They will refer you to other support services, such as job search support, when the initial services and the basic needs are addressed. And finally, you can be proactive. This is your life and your opportunity. So perhaps you have asked your resettlement agency about the nearest mosque, and they have not had time to answer you yet. You can go on your own and search at the local library. You can search through an online search, or you can search by walking around your new community. So please do remember and keep in mind mutual respect, some patience and understanding, and being proactive will grow your partnership with the resettlement agency. Resettlement agencies help arrange housing for you and your family. Many of you have asked about the type of housing and household goods that are provided. So let's start by watching a short video clip about housing.
Housing in the United States. When you first arrive in the United States, you may be placed in an apartment or a hotel, or you may stay with relatives who have already resettled in the United States. If you are single, you may be placed with other single refugees of your same gender. Your resettlement agency will make sure that you have housing during your first month in the United States, and they will look for housing that is clean, affordable, and in a safe neighborhood. In the beginning, you will have a limited income, so your first home may not be your ideal choice. However, securing a steady income will allow you to choose a home in the future that suits your income, needs, and preferences. Furnishings. Your resettlement agency is responsible for putting basic furniture and household items in the apartment or house they have selected for you and your family. The items will include furniture, linens, kitchen supplies, and personal care items. The agency is not required to provide you with new items. The items should be in good condition, but they do not have to be new. A house or an apartment usually has a kitchen with a stove, sink, and refrigerator, a living and dining area, one or more bedrooms, a bathroom, and closets.
Now we're going to test your knowledge on the type of housing resettlement agencies provide. First question: will resettlement agencies provide you with household items that are new or that are used? The answer is both. Some items, such as cleaning supplies or toiletries like toothpaste, will be new. However, other items, like a couch or a table, may be used. These items have been sanitized and cleaned and are now ready to be reused. In many locations, resettlement agencies receive donations from the community. These items may be provided to you as brand new items would not be affordable. Please note, items such as TVs, computers, or bicycles are not guaranteed to be provided. So the second question, will you be placed in an apartment immediately? The answer is not always. Sometimes you and your family will be placed in a hotel or Airbnb temporarily while the resettlement agency arranges for more permanent housing. The United States has a low supply of affordable and permanent housing. For this reason, you may be temporarily placed in a hotel or some other lodging until the resettlement agency is able to find permanent housing for you and your family. Please understand that the assistance to pay for housing will be very limited and short-term, and you will soon need to pay the costs with your own income. You won't receive free housing. Resettlement agencies receive a limited amount of funding to meet the basic needs and provide services. This money can help to pay your rent for only 1 to 2 months. Earning income through employment is the best way to ensure that you can pay for your housing and other basic needs. You will receive help to prepare for and find employment. Our final question: will you receive the same items, the same household items as every other Afghan parolee? The answer is no. Depending on the current donations received by the resettlement agency, you will likely receive different items from your friends and family. While items such as housing furniture and household goods are always provided, the exact brand and color and size and quality of the items will not be identical. The donations from faith-based groups and local communities, as well as business partners, will also determine whether you receive any additional items or different items compared to your friends and family. The resettlement agency will disperse the donations as fairly as they can. Now we would like to answer some of your questions. While we won't have time to answer all questions, our team will be monitoring the comments and answering them as quickly as possible. Please remember when commenting during this live session not to share any personal or confidential information as the session is public. You may continue, however, to send us any direct messages with sensitive information. The first question that we have here is, I know my resettlement agency and I have met my case manager, but they haven't come to visit me for 1 week. What do I do? This is a great question, especially if we are new to the area and not sure what is available to us. If our case manager comes to visit us 1 day and then we haven't seen them for another 7 days, we may wonder, what can we do? The services that are provided by resettlement agencies are provided over a period of weeks or months. Everyone's working to get you the services and documents that you need as quickly as possible. It will, however, be important to remain patient and respectful. Asking questions about the process and services is both patient and respectful. However, yelling or making negative comments about a caseworker's gender or race is neither patient nor respectful. Also, as we discussed a bit earlier, there are some tasks that you can be proactive with, such as finding mosques in your community or searching for the nearest library. Another question we have here is about food. So the question is, my resettlement agency dropped off food for my family when we first arrived, but they haven't brought us food since that first day, and we no longer have any more food in our home. So what can we do? This is a really important question. Obviously, food and knowing where your local grocery store is imperative and important for everyday living. The resettlement agency will actually not provide groceries every day or even every week. It will be your responsibility to do your own grocery shopping. If, however, a resettlement agency does drop off a large amount of groceries when you first arrive to your new home, they will assume that those groceries will last many days. And this is because in the United States, most families shop for vegetables, meats, and grains just once a week, or even once every 2 weeks. Many families buy large quantities of food and store vegetables and meats in the refrigerator or the freezer to keep them fresh longer. Likewise, a whole week or even a whole month's worth of bread or rice or flour is purchased all at once and stored in a cool, dry container to keep it fresh longer. You can search for these bulk items at your nearest grocery store. Another question we have is from someone who is still in a safe haven. The question is, how can I contact my resettlement agency before I leave a safe haven? This is a really good question. I know many of you are in this same situation and will have the same question. So please know your resettlement agency is super busy right now getting your housing and all of the other items ready for you. In order to not delay the services more than necessary, we ask that you please do not call the resettlement agencies before you leave the safe havens. They're working hard to help you and will have your arrival information as soon as it's available. So next we have a couple of questions around housing. The first is, my apartment that the resettlement agency provided is older and my neighbors are a bit loud. I'm not used to living in this kind of place. What can I do? Really great question. Let me share a little bit that the United States has a very low supply right now of affordable housing. The resettlement agency will place you in the housing that is available and within a reasonable budget. Since you will be responsible for paying rent soon after moving into your new home, the resettlement agency will try to place you where the rental cost is inexpensive and something you can cover with your first job's income. Your home may not be your first choice, but it will allow you and your family to settle in while connecting to community resources and finding employment. Our second question here around housing asks, why can't we select a house and then inform the resettlement agency to pay our rent? This is an excellent question and I really appreciate it. So the reason for this is that as a newcomer to the United States, you may actually not be eligible to rent a house, especially if you cannot provide eligibility documents and proof of stable income. Resettlement agencies, however, have partnerships and collaboration agreements with affordable housing providers, and you are provided that housing based on their partnerships. Resettlement agencies are helping you move to a community where you feel welcome, where you will have your basic needs met, and where housing is more affordable and available, where you can start working right away and earn money to support yourself and your family. The resettlement agencies know the resettlement locations very well and have analyzed the local community support available and are working to match families with the locations where you'll be best positioned to start new lives. Okay, so the next question that we have is, what services can I expect from my resettlement agency? This is a great question. We talked a little bit about this in our session on the APA program, but let's review a few of the services available. Your resettlement agency will provide airport pickup, transportation to your housing, culturally appropriate, ready-to-eat food, sufficient food and household supplies, a small amount of pocket money, seasonal clothing as necessary. They will also provide these services with appropriate interpretation as much as possible. Resettlement agencies will also provide support with referrals to organizations or applications for other services such as government assistance, English language programs, employment services, school enrollment for children, immigration legal services, and filing change of address forms within 10 days of moving. So another question we have here, does the resettlement agency assist in receiving Social Security cards and work authorization documents for those who haven't received their documents yet? Yes. The answer is your resettlement agency will assist you in determining how to receive your Social Security card and work authorization document once you arrive in your final destination. They will help figure out where to find those documents. And our final question for today is about COVID. This is a question that we receive pretty often. The question is, what happens if a refugee family tests positive for COVID upon arrival to their new home? How will the family be provided with food and other daily necessities? The CDC guidelines regarding entering the United States after traveling abroad also applies to refugees and Afghan parolees. The CDC recommends that anyone who enters the United States after traveling abroad receives a COVID test, and they suggest that you stay in a separate area if the test is negative. If you are not tested, however, they recommend that you stay at home for 10 days once you arrive. Regardless, refugees should continue to monitor their health for 14 days after arrival. During this time, you should monitor your health, practice social distancing, and seek health care as needed. Your resettlement agency will also share any additional information about local quarantine requirements to help keep you informed. During any stay-at-home period, refugees can still expect to have sufficient food and groceries, sometimes provided through contactless delivery. They can also expect to have regular contact, usually by phone or Skype or WhatsApp, with their resettlement agencies and their caseworkers. And they can expect to receive updated guidance that's specific to COVID-19. We appreciate all of your questions and hope we were able to offer you some new information. We will be offering more live sessions, so please do watch for our future posts. And for any questions that were not answered today, you may send us a private message and one of our team will get back to you as soon as they can.